What up, y'all? On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the creative process behind running a business, figuring out your niche, being creative, being an artist, my experience in operating a business, starting a business, and giving you guys a behind the scenes look of what it is like to be an artist, the trials and tribulations that we kind of go through, and going through this journey together. We're going to figure out a way to bring hope and inspiration to any aspiring artists, creators, photographers, filmmakers, dancers, artists, writers, whatever it is. You're not alone, and so we're going to figure out how to be creative and share ideas, bounce ideas off of one another, and give you guys a behind the scenes look of that creative process. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, y'all, so my screen would freeze anytime I made a gesture because the Mac OS Sonoma, which is like the new upgrade, there's gestures control anytime there's a camera updated, which every time I made a gesture, like, it would freeze. So I was like, what's going on? So I had to Google it. I kept having the answer, and I was like, why is this happening? I don't even remember where I left off, but I was making some notes today. You probably can't see that. And a lot of this for me is behind the scenes. Like, these videos to me is behind the scenes. Like, this is me uncovering, ways to create work. Like, I have it written down right here. But basically, this last edit that I made, it was just like a video edit. It was a remixed work, right? It was a remix. It was just something that someone else made a song, and I was able to build off of it and create something unique and different from that song, right? Like, I basically made another kind of music video to that song that was photography related, to kind of just, it's gonna be kind of like a POV. You book a photographer who also happens to be a cinematographer, or something like that. I don't know what I'm gonna caption it, but that was something that's probably, it's gonna be along the lines of that. And when, like, there's that type of work, and I think doing that is really good for kind of like your business page, right? Like, my business page is like I don't really know how to describe it. It's hard. It's like this. It's like a community page. It's like because I'm following not only what it is today, but I'm also kind of following what it used to be, and kind of the trajectory that page has taken me on, right? Like, I draw inspiration from present day, from a future vision, and that future vision is at times fueled by things that I've created in the past, or the lineage of things. And this page at one point was my, like, archive page, right? And so it slowly evolved into basically like what it is today, which is now like my business. It's operating under my business, and it's still within this creative realm that I'm in. It's not necessarily a specific type of business, which is not the best thing to do when you're going into business. You want to go into a business with a plan. You don't want to just go in not knowing what it is that you're going to do. But for me, that business was to produce videos, was to produce photographs, was to produce art, like to be a producer of creativity. And so that creativity is very broad, right? Like, that creativity goes from a painting to a video to a edit to photography, and like within those things, right? Like, you have painting. What are you gonna paint? You can paint anything. What are you gonna photograph? You can photograph anything. What are you gonna make a video of? You can make videos of everything. And I'm kind of in that medium. I'm in the medium of the work, and so everything else is still very open to being interpreted. Is that how you say that? It's subject to interpretation. And the and then ultimately the niche for me has kind of gradually become, it's, you know, it's like portraiture, it's kind of this like fashion editorial cinematography. It's carving out, you know, your own space within a broader space. And lately I've actually been messing around with music, you know, so it's definitely something that I've always wanted to do. And I've always written poetry, and that kind of intersects with filmmaking and acting and all those types of different creative fields, right? Like I've been an artist, a creative for the longest time ever, and I feel like I really haven't shied away from pursuing those things. It always feels like I'm coming in late to the game, right? Like with music, it feels like I wasn't doing it in high school per se or middle school, but I was always around it. I was always around those creative spaces. I was always carving out my own space within larger spaces. And now, like, this business is that's where I'm at. Like I'm carving out my own space, and this is sort of the behind the scenes. No, this isn't. It's not that it's sort of the behind the scenes. This is the behind the scenes. This is the behind the scenes of me figuring it out, me finding inspiration, me creating, you know, me breaking down how I make things, why I make things, and all of the above that goes with behind the scenes. It's challenging because for me, I am all over the place. You know, I'm not just, you know, I wasn't born with that sort of, hey, you're just gonna do this one thing and that's it. Like you become really good at that thing and you run with it. I think for me that one thing is like, if I were to measure like my skills, I think my photography and my like editing skills are like, you know, they're up there. And then I still have these like other skills which, you know, I'm still kind of like trying to get some XP with, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, they're not completely discarded. And now I'm at a point in this, you know, journey, this business journey of like, okay, where are my strengths? And like, let me build using those strengths, right? Because this is the medium now. We're talking about the medium. We're talking about the camera. And I think the camera then, you can just point it at whatever you want. And so I feel like the skill with the camera is now it's kind of on autopilot, where I can just kind of do it on autopilot, and I can just kind of start dabbling with other different creative elements or other, you know, spaces, and yeah. So that's kind of what this is. It's the process. It's figuring it out. It's growing it. And sometimes I overthink it. You know, I'm like, I could just straight up just hook up my phone and just talk to the camera, right? But like, I'm doing all this extra stuff right now. Like, I'm recording from my computer. You know, I'm like, this is like a overkill, right? Like, this is my set, bro. This is it right here. You know, like, this is the process for me, and it looks different for everybody. You know, it's a different process for everybody. And for me, I think I'm coming to grips with the fact that I have to embrace the current space that I'm in, because this is like base level again, and it feels like restarting. And I've had multiple instances where it feels like I should just quit altogether and discard this business. Like, you know, forget about the photography, forget about the filmmaking, forget about the microphones and everything, and just go into something completely different, right? Like, that thought has entered my mind. And every time I do, then I always ask myself, it's like, are you just doing what you've picked up? So many things, you do it for a little bit, you dabble in it, and then you stop, and then you move on to the next thing. And I've certainly done that, right? Like I've done that a lot. I pick up something, I go into something, pick it up, dabble in it, and I'm at a point in my life now where the experimentation aspect of picking things up kind of dropped down on the priority list. So it's building off of what I know now. It's building off of the skills that I know now. And this time around, I think before going quits, right? Like I've done photography and video stuff, and I've kind of done it at like, I don't know, maybe like 25%. At like, I think at my peak maybe it was like, maybe I might have felt like, I don't know, 40% of like me really dedicating my time and resources to making a valuable experience for the people who collaborate with me. Like I feel like I haven't really given it my all. And so because I haven't, I do get into this mode of thinking where because I haven't given it my all, I haven't seen the results that I want, and because I haven't seen the results, then I should stop. Maybe give it your all, and if it doesn't give you the results that you want, then drop it. And so now I'm at that point where I do want to give it my all. I want to be able to create and create from a place of confidence, or I once used to create it. You know, I don't know, man. Maybe just as time goes on, maybe you just feel like it's just the ebbs and flows. If sometimes you feel on top of the world and sometimes you don't, and that's what it's been like for me for some time. And I want to be able to go back into a space where I can be creative and I can give it my all before I, put it on the shelf. So it's gonna be an interesting journey. I do believe it's gonna be filled with creativity because I don't want to give that up. I don't want to give up on the things that I'm passionate about, which is like filmmaking and writing and photography, and I don't want to give up the collaborations. I just want to continue to build off of it and continue to give my all and all my attention to it so that I can build a business around the things that I'm passionate about with before giving up, right? Because there's no point in giving up if you haven't given it your all. And I know if I did, then my future self wouldn't be happy with myself. And I know my present self hasn't been happy with, the previous version of myself, the past version of myself. And so I want my present version to be happy with my present version, and I want my happy future version to also be, grateful that my present self did what I had to do to make sure that no stone was left unturned. So I'm excited for it. I'm a little nervous for it. I'm definitely overthinking a lot of things. I posted like a little behind the scenes thing, and I was in my head like crazy. I was like, does this even make sense? How am I going to distribute this? And so I'm still finding the structure, but I'm also kind of just going. And I think slowly I'm going to figure out a way to structure all the pieces of content and distribute them, accordingly, and not just be so sporadic about it. Because I do think there's a balance, and sometimes I do get my head about overproducing and under-delivering, and then I sometimes do get into my head about overproducing underdeveloped work and feeling like I could have dedicated more time to producing higher quality work and kind of sustain a sort of level of quality and quantity. And so it's balancing those two things right now. And I think this is like a good balance for me right now because it gives you an unfiltered version of what it is that I'm thinking, and slowly kind of, we'll just figure it out, and I think right now it's figuring out again that sort of quality over quantity, or quantity over quality, and kind of bringing the two so that the quality is high but also the quantity, right? Because I've gone periods where it's like I produce, and I stop. And then I produce. And in those moments where I produce a lot, I sometimes get into this sort of like, man, like, I could have done that better. I could have really done that better. Instead of just putting it out there, I could have been more methodical about it. I could have built up some more hype about it. I could have involved you guys more. And now, right, like learning from those mistakes, it's taking that approach from here on out. And I'm a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie. Like, but we're doing it, so it's not too bad. Yeah, it's cool stuff, man. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for this setup, and I just want to share with you guys some of the creative process for me, and share with you guys the what's coming up. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys on the next one. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's do the intro.